What's up, everybody? It's ImmaLetYouFinish, show number 165 on the Pantheon Podcast Network. It is Thanksgiving week, but when you hear this show, it'll be after Thanksgiving. So, hey guys, hope your Thanksgivings was good. Yes, Amy's looking at me like, what? I remember the show's coming out next week. The conversation that I had to you, I was like, we're going to tape the show because one, Harry needed to do, we have a guest who need to do this week. Yeah. And I told you we're going to keep the show on its original schedule because everybody's gone away and put it out for next week.
Well, then all these subjects will be.
No, but that's why, it'll be good because our opinion is good. So people will hear what we say and it'll be fresh to us.
So the Andre 3000 record will still be a boring, bloated piece of shit by next week as well?
How dare you?
Not a piece of shit.
I love that album.
Well, of course you do.
I love it.
Of course you do.
I love it.
It's awful.
It is not awful.
All right.
What? Do you really? Hold on. No. We're not getting. No. We can't just breeze past subjects. I love how you.
No. Oh, excuse me. You do that. Listen, we'll get into it in a second, but I do want to announce.
No, you brought it up.
But you know how you can tell we have a guest? Have you noticed what's different about me every time we were a guest?
Yeah,
I put on lipstick.
Yes.
I would put on lipstick.
Yes, but it's
nothing against you personally. I would definitely put on lipstick for you all the time. But I do put on lipstick when the guest is here in the off chance.
Are you going to tell people who our guest is?
Well, yes, I am. Our guest today is Harry Weinger, who is Harry Weinger is the man behind some of the best reissues and catalog deep diving and just amazing stuff. He's also an honorary Temptation, which we need to get into it
all the way.
All the way. But he's going to be our guest, and he's going to talk about just the whole art of reissuing and catalog and legacy artists and just all that good stuff. He's a great guy. He was one of the people behind that fantastic James Brown box set, Startime, many years ago.
Absolutely.
So he's a great guy.
And he's a Grammy. He's won multiple Grammys.
He has won multiple Grammys.
And I believe the French version of the Grammy as well. And
Les Grammy. The Les Grammy.
Okay, now we got to get back to this. How do you not you really don't like the Andre album?
I could make it through half a song. Half a song.
Really?
All right, first off, let me put this. I don't understand people who need music to meditate to. Number one, you're not supposed to meditate with music. Do you really think the Dalai Lama is sitting there playing music when he's meditating? I don't believe in that nonsense. You meditate, you're supposed to be in touch with. Meditating is not to have a soundtrack. Number two, I am not someone who needs a soundtrack. I put on music to listen to it. Sometimes in background, but I actively listen to music. Number three, I don't write as much as I used to, but I could never write with music because it would just interfere with my thoughts. I can edit with music, but I can't write with music. If this wasn't Andre 3000, nobody would really care. It started making me agitated halfway through the first song, which is the exact opposite reaction you're supposed to have for an oral sound bath. Now, is it cool that he did it? Of course it's cool. Is it cool that, judging this as a rapper, he's not judging this as a rap record or up against an Outkast record is ridiculous. This is not what this is. This is a very different project. Kudos to him. But I think people are skipping over themselves. Let me tell you something. The interwebs are evenly divided on this. I think people are trying to show how cool they are by saying a lot of people, it's okay. But if it wasn't him, if it was Joe Blow putting out this record, would anybody be giving it a minute attention?
True.
No.
But, we don't give any sort of instrumentalist albums attention in the U.S., right? I really like it.
That is not true at all. There's tons of instrumentalist albums, and not just in the U.S.
Okay, so name one right now.
Well, classical music.
Name an album. That's what I mean. If we gave things the amount of attention, you'd be able to say, da-da-da, from this person. We don't give them that.
Well,
if they are shifted in a certain genre, right? I like the album. When I put it on, it was a vibe to me. You know what I mean? It's kind of to me, it's if you smoke weed, it's great. You know what I mean?
Was
it's
that
no, I don't mean but no, it's like it's that kind of vibey cypher album. I just put it on repeat, and I kind of at one point felt like I was floating through my
I don't want that from music. For me, it's
for some reason I knew you were going to hate it, and I didn't
Brian
ask you.
Eno for done. It's
right.
Brian. Somebody just posted the funniest thing on Facebook. They wrote he should have called this "Music for the Atlanta Airport" in tribute to Eno. To me, it's like Philip Glass for Dummies. I mean, it's okay. It's fine.
I knew you were going to hate it. I did not ask you. I was waiting until we got on tape to ask you, because I was like, as I was listening to it, and I was like, I know one person who was like, this is
I know
some
a lot
bullshit.
of people don't like it.
I knew you were going to be like, this is some bullshit. This is
it's not even no. I don't think it's some bullshit. I just don't that whole vibey Nag Shampra, natural oil hair nonsense. I'm just not into it. From anybody. And it's not like I don't like new age music. There's some stuff I do like. It's not like I don't like Kirtan. I like Kirtan a lot. I like spiritual music and sacred music. This just to me is like a guy who's like, I'm going to do a flute record. Okay. Flute record. Cool. I mean, yay for him. Is it on Arista? Or is this on independent label?
I believe it's on an independent label. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't, if I want to vibe, I don't know, vibe. I don't like that word.
People are definitely divided, right? They don't know how to feel about it.
There's no, like,
they don't know how to, it's almost like they love him, and people don't want to say you can tell some people don't want to say what they really want to say because they love him.
But the thing that does make me angry, though, not angry, but the thing that sort of annoys me, and people should know better who are writing this, if you're saying you don't like the record, it's not because he didn't make a rap record. That is not the reason. That's not the reason. I mean, I am judging him solely
on this project, what's in front of you.
He should have put this record out under a different name. He should have put it out under his government name, and that would have shut down. Well,
he says he has some work out there that's not under his name. He's playing on some instrumentalist albums and stuff, but he's not credited as himself. And he had stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, so my issue with it is that it's not Miss Jackson. That's not my issue with it. I just put it on. I swear to God, I put it on.
No, it's a weird record. It's not going to be. It's a weird. It's not a mass consumption record. It's a weird, even for an instrumentalist sort of record. It's a weird record. I love it because I'm weird. I love that kind of shit.
I'm got my weirdness too. But the thing that was so funny is that every time I'm meditative, and I literally felt myself getting like, I want to punch somebody. And I have been meditating religiously for decades. So the fact that I'm listening to this and my first reaction was, I want to punch somebody. No, that's not.
That's kind of like the opposite of a meditative
of what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
That's like taking Adderall and taking a nap. It's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to have the other effect. All right. You know how like sometimes like famous people, usually men, but famous people will do something and it's alleged, and then you'll get this horde of people rushing to their defense, right? Saying, no, he'd never done it. When Cassie announced, alleged the absolutely horrific things that she accused her former boyfriend / whatever, of doing, there was deafening silence across the land because not one human, I mean, even Harvey Weinstein had people who defended him. There was not one human being, black, white, industry, not industry, old, young, male, female, who said a word. And in fact, suddenly all the women who had worked with him were like, yeah.
Let me just say this.
Yeah. And she has settled. They have settled the suit.
And there people were really angry with her. I'm like, first of all, this was always, she could only do a civil suit. It wasn't a criminal suit.
Right.
I was like, and so at the end of the day, it was going to be a money arrangement.
Yes.
And
either way, because he wasn't going to be able to go to jail, right?
And no, he wasn't going to be able to go to jail. And what I want people to, what's confused me, especially with these men who are yelling this, is so you're angry at her for settling, ignoring all of the things that she said he did. Why aren't you looking at him? It's like that man settled a suit within 24 hours of it being filed.
Right.
That has to be a record, folks.
I've never heard of it. Usually it drags out.
I have worked in this industry a very, very long time. People, especially rich ones, don't like parting with any money, let alone millions of dollars. And if someone and their lawyers you shouldn't even be you should still be in a discovery phase going through the suit in 24
they were like, as soon as the news cycle opened up the next day.
It's like, no, it wasn't. Remember, it came Friday night. That's how they did it. They kind of waited for the news cycle to be over to be like, oh, we've settled.
Well, doesn't this put his altruistic, I'm going to give my artists their masters thing in a whole different light?
And now you're having all of these old interview clips of other artists who were saying things. Come on, Jaguar Wright, who everybody just called crazy and unhinged.
Right.
Now, some of the stuff she's saying, people are looking, saying, well, wait a minute. That kind of
Danity, all the women in Danity Kane, there were always allegations. Usher, interviews with Usher, where Usher, some of it, I don't want to see people go.
Then the prophet that is Curtis Jackson.
Curtis Jackson.
Let me just tell you something about shady-ass
our prophet.
Jackson. He may be a shady motherfucker the way he likes it. Curtis Jackson reads.
Look who's here.
Spoony. Hey, Spoons.
Hi.
Spoony.
Hi.
Oh, she made an appearance.
Hi,
hey,
Courtney. Why don't you ever ask me to be a guest?
Look at the spoons.
Meow, meow. Puffy scum. Bye.
Let me just tell you something. Curtis Jackson may throw
I didn't
shit
mean
out.
to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's okay. He can read like a good old timey gay. He's that kind of. He's got that thing. He's got that.
He is that girl. He is that girl.
He's cut to the white meat. Don't give a fuck. Read it.
No. Yeah.
But
anyway. Yeah,
he's been talking about shit for years, and it been
like I said, years. I'm sorry.
The thing
is where I don't want to see people go. I don't want to see people go into tangents about, this proves that he was grooming. It's enough what she alleged. We have to remember that woman was on the verge of a very big career, and her career just went up in smoke. Ryan Leslie, where is he today? His career went up in smoke. Kid Cudi's car literally went up in smoke. So, I mean, kudos to her. But like we both said,
you know what I think
nobody.
It is? You know what I think it is? And people will realize that she did the heavy lifting, kids. She did. Because she opened the door. No one has been able to. This man, if you think about all of the people around him, he's been like Teflon. She was the one. She did the heavy lifting. And now that door is open, because I've been hearing from friends who, work in different media. There are stories that real outlets are now trying to work on, and they're waiting and they're working on shit. You can't open that kind of door, settling within 24 hours, thinking it's just going to go away, and think that there's not more coming, because now you have people who maybe felt like they wouldn't have had a voice with maybe something that could have happened to them. And this is going to be an unfolding story that I do not think is over yet.
He's had blood on his hands for quite some time. And like I said, that altruistic, here, guys, have your master go by the way, sign an NDA. Yeah. When are you going to get off Twitter? Seriously, when? What is it going to take for you to get off Twitter? What?
I'm not really on there. I don't even post the show stuff. Well, I go on there because it's like, there's
anti-Semitic rants and homophobia and anti-black stuff. And now he's endorsing Elon Musk, the Pizzagate conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I go on there for the naked guys.
Ew, really? Ew.
There's lots of hot guys posting themselves.
Ew! On X, really?
Oh no! It is crazy.
Ew!
Like there's so much happening on there.
Ew!
It's the new 42nd
Well, anyway,
Street.
Neil Young has called for a boycott of X, Twitter, whatever the hell he's calling it, and because of Elon Musk being an anti-Semite. I'm not even going to say alleged. He's an anti-Semite. He co-signs on anti-Semitism. You co-sign on anti-Semitism, racism, homophobia. Yeah. That's what you are. We all need to remember that Elon Musk was raised during apartheid.
I keep telling people that, they're looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, this man.
His father was a big anti-government apartheid guy.
He's apartheid South Africa. Let's not forget that. Not
everybody is Charlize Theron. You know what I mean?
That came with him, and you can see that came with him.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of everybody thinking just because someone, you may be really smart in certain areas and they're rich, but we put so much emphasis on them and act like these people are geniuses. This man, maybe he's smart in one aspect, but that doesn't change the fact that he seems to be a pretty horrible fucking human being.
No, he's a horrible person. Let's explain how Glastonbury can sell out and nobody knows who's playing.
And because now everything is it's like Coachella, right?
It's a thing.
Coachella sells out when people don't even know who's playing. So the things are things, but people are really upset that it sold out in less than an hour. Most of the fans didn't get tickets, and it's because what's real. And
scalpers, is that scalpers?
I think a lot of that, and it made me think of how. When you and I'm sure, when we both started going to concerts, like 70s, 80s, you probably
70s,
60s, 70s, 80s, getting tickets was not a contact sport. It is
no. You
hard
asked
to get.
You asked your mom
to
buy
money, and you go to Ticketmaster or Television.
And you lined up. Or outside the venue. You lined up.
Remember waiting on the line.
Yeah.
But even after the first day, you could still go to Ticketmaster and get tickets. It has become now, watching what has happened to go to a concert, it's, first of all, the prices have gone up on all of the festivals.
Well, they're insane.
And it is really kind of crazy what you have to do to get a fucking, just to go enjoy a night of music. It's ridiculous. Which is why I still love going to see artists at the beginning of their careers when they're playing at smaller venues, and that's not really an issue. Because now it's I look at this.
It would be really funny if everybody bought all these tickets and then the headliner is like Weird Al Yankovic, or actually that would actually be really funny. But it would just be funny if
puts on a great live show.
No, that's what I'm saying. I had to think of somebody who's like really terrible, but it would just be funny if the headliner were like a harmonica player or something. It's like, ha, suckers. Speaking of suckers, you want to take a break? Just take a break? Should we take a break?
Well, this isn't when the original break was supposed to come, but we can take one. Okay, guys, we'll be right back.
Pantheon Podcast listeners, Christian Swain here to tell you more about my experience with Raycon earbuds. Our family now has 3 pairs of Raycon earbuds around the house, and my wife just grabbed a pair of the Headphone Pros to replace some headphones from a company that was double the price. And yes, she loves them. Now, if you haven't pulled the trigger on a pair of Raycons, or even if you have, but you're in the market for another pair because they're just that good, well, now is the time to check them out, because they just launched their upgraded model of the best-selling everyday earbuds. With Raycon's upgraded everyday earbuds, now you also get active noise cancellation, ergonomic design, and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once. New quick charge function, 3 customizable sound styles, plus awareness mode. Available in a variety of vibrant new colors to complement any and all skin tones. I even have a pair of earbuds in a cool green color. I have tried just about every earbud known to humankind, and these Raycons are fantastic. Seriously, if you've been wanting to check out Raycons, there truly is no better time. You're going to ask yourself why you didn't check them out sooner, and Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to buyraycon.com/Pantheon today to get 20% off your Raycon order, plus free shipping. That's right, you'll get 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/Pantheon. buyraycon.com/Pantheon.
And we're back.
We're back. We're back. I can't tell time. Very confused. Did I tell you I was walking down the street yesterday and some guy tried to punch me out?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I'm just going to mention this very briefly because it traumatized me for a whole afternoon. I'm walking down DeKalb. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon. I just want to add that bright sunshine. Everything's beautiful. I have my sunglasses on, so you really couldn't see my eyes. Anyway, walking down the street, I see this young man walking towards me carrying a canvas. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I don't say anything. I don't look at anything. And then he comes right by me and he sort of stops. And I'm thinking, is that one of my former students? Because I run into them all over the place. And I'm like, and he's behind me and he goes, what you looking at, N-word? And I'm like, I know already we're in a weird territory. And for those of you who have never met me, yeah, I know. For those of you who have not met me, not that. And then I go, nothing. And then he says, what are you looking at? N-word again. And then he does that thing where you jump back and you make like you're going to punch somebody, but you actually don't punch somebody. And I just kept walking. And then I got to school and I was like, what the hell just happened?
No, you know what? People, and it's
nuts.
It's actually not funny because that's quite scary because people are really...
No, it was very scary. And actually, when I was walking through the Fulton Mall, it's super crowded this time of year. And every time somebody, because I walk like the cops are chasing me, I walk super fast. And every time someone came a little close to me to get out of the way of somebody else, I kind of flinched and... Yeah,
because
so I'm traumatized.
People are unhinged. You know what I mean? It's like
no,
you don't know. It's like that. The best thing you could have done is not engage and keep walking.
Because, I didn't engage. But the thing that's so funny, my first instinct was, oh, how fascinating! Look at this young black artist walking down the street with his work. Mm-hmm. But no, and also I was like, who calls a white woman that? I mean, bitch. I understand, but I was like, what? Let me take off my sunglasses so you can see that I am a Caucasoid.
Athena.
Horatio, we'll explain this to you, Courtney, in a second. We should need to give Courtney a fake name. Clarence. He can be Clarence.
That's my uncle's name.
Oh, is it? Mm-hmm. Why did I know that? All right, Harry Weinger. I'm going to read up. Let me just tell you something. Courtney calls me up and he goes, Amy, I think Harry is too smart to be and accomplished to be on our show.
On this show? Like, why does he want to come on this show?
Because I begged him.
I've not met Courtney before, I don't think, in all our travels, but I have known Amy a very long time.
So despite that, he wanted to be on. All right, producer, writer, and executive Harry Weinger is vice president of A&R for Universal Music Enterprises, the catalog division of Universal Music. You've won Grammys. Talk to me about that you're an honorary Temptation?
Yes, please explain.
Can you dance?
No.
Oh, okay.
But yes, actually I can, but I can't.
Can you dance as good as you walk?
What's the Archie Bell and the Drills?
Can you dance as good? Tighten up.
Yeah. I just need a moment. I need you to read something from that and have you go, oh, God.
Okay.
I need you to
All right. Oh, there's a lot in here. Honor and remember the Temptations. You've worked closely for 30 years. Music director. Courtney was a music director. His college radio station, too. Cash. You've won multiple Grammys. You did Star Time, still one of the best box sets ever. Back in the day, you used to give me work writing liner notes. What else? Okay, a French Grammy? What's a French Grammy?
Yeah. It's whatever the equivalent is. There was some jazz project that I did, and I think it won for best liner notes, which is not but they sent me the thing, so it's in my house.
Keep it. What the hell, right? You've just done everything. You've taught at NYU. I've done that too.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
I'm waiting for that. Oh, God.
It's exhausting. Teaching is exhausting. We're not even going to go into that because I'm starting my Thanksgiving Day break, and I've already put out a notice to all my students, don't talk to me for the next 3 days. Bye-bye. Leave me alone.
Excellent.
All right, so here's my first question, because I've always wondered.
The name thing?
Well, no, because all of my friends, we all have different names.
We have to explain. Okay, go.
It's about reissues. I want to know the process. Are you working? Are there just estates that you're just
that mean Aimster? I thought that was the whole.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
no, it
Let us very briefly do it
Okay.
because his head will explode.
No, you did that. You did it
Many
already,
years
but I
ago,
wasn't here.
you know how Courtney, the record companies kept buying each other up, and then every
Yeah.
time you call, there'd be a new person who didn't know what the
Right.
hell was going on.
Yeah.
So when Def Jam became, I don't know, like somebody's kid's sister was running Def Jam, and I
Right.
called up because there was an LL project coming
Was
out or
this when
DMX project.
they went with Island and then it was like Island Def
Yeah,
Jam
no,
for
even
that
beyond that.
moment?
It was just
Okay.
insanity. Yeah, yeah. And I called up and I said something about, doing liner notes for something. And the guy who answers the phone goes, yeah, I think you have to talk to this guy. His name's Howard. I go, Harry Weinger? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I think he might. And I went, yeah, I know Harry. Thanks a lot. I've got his phone number. So ever since then, I refer to him as Howard, Harvey, every possible name that starts
Under the
with H.
sun, right.
Horatio.
Yeah, Horatio, because this guy who worked with him didn't even know his name because he was 12. And so conversely, I am now every possible name that starts
Annette,
with A.
Abigail.
Abigail, Anastasia, apathetic. Oh, that's a new one too.
You could be an Anastasia. I
I could be an
actually
yeah,
see
yeah,
Anastasia.
okay.
I see
Anastasia,
Anastasia.
like yeah, all right.
Right,
Well, anyway,
that's-
sorry to interrupt. We're done. Okay, go.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish.
I've always wondered, is it are there estates that you just have been keeping in contact with? You're marinating relationships. Are they coming to you? Are you looking at the catalog and saying, all right, this is right at this time for reissue? How does it actually work?
Specifically with vinyl?
Yes, specifically with vinyl.
Well, it's always case by case. I mean, it always is. It depends on, is there a moment where it works? Is there an anniversary? Does it matter if the artist is popular enough? Is there some sort of social media or TikTok thing where where there's interest, and does that audience really give a shit about a full-length LP? Does that factor in? So it's always case by case. Sometimes there are titles that are undeniable that are just always in print, like Bob Marley Legend.
Right.
Is Exodus in print? Is Nati Dread in print? Is Confrontation in print? Are all those things in print? And if not, should they be? Do they need to be? In what form do they take? Is it color vinyl? We just did a series about a year ago of the catalog pressed in Jamaica. So that was a thing where you may have already owned the record, but maybe you want the version pressed at Tough Gong, numbered, stamped with the logo. And so it always depends. And it's funny. I don't mean to anticipate a question, but I wanted to add that, certainly growing up, I had vinyl. I love vinyl. But professionally, I only ever worked with compact discs in terms of production, in terms of how you make the stuff and how you listen back. And then, so digital audio is much easier to deal with. When we started ramping up to make vinyl again, I had actually never done that. Right? And it's a pain. It's frankly a pain.
I've heard it's hard now. Yeah, it's not simple.
It's you've got to really listen down to test pressings. The way you master a record is different than how you master for CD or digital. How long are the in-between tracks? How long is the inner groove? How long is the touchdown groove? If you're making something that's never been on vinyl, where the side breaks, these things it's not just that it's a little bit of a pain, but it's not, because the end product is wonderful. But it's the time. Right? So it's just the actual time in making this is very different in terms of production. So you're thinking way ahead.
I was about to say, are the vinyl factories still backed up? Because I know there was a time when, with the new resurgence of vinyl, that people sometimes the actual vinyl wasn't coming out the same day as people's releases because the factories are having a hard time keeping up with all of the orders.
There's not so much of that now. I'm not finding it anyway. There's definitely a dance in terms of creating, making sure there's capacity. And if you have artists who want to be at a particular plant or in a state that want to be at one plant or another, or you have some sort of specialty request, you want it to be a certain color, or you want it to be a certain weight, or you want to have, is it shipping from Europe? Is it coming from the US? All these factors go into various choices that are available to you.
Does vinyl, when you release like something on vinyl, and this is like Vinyl for Dummies question, does it go to Billboard in terms of chart stuff, or is it just viewed as like a specialty item? Like there's no album
there is a separate vinyl chart. There is a separate vinyl chart, but vinyl sales go. Yeah, if you're, Taylor, when she does a record on vinyl, that certainly counts. It all counts.
Okay. But does it go under, like, let's say we'll take the Temptations, since you were a member of the group. I really need to, which phase of the Temptations? Like the early phase, the middle phase?
Are we talking Dennis Edwards, David Ruffin,
really, Dennis Edwards, Eddie Kendricks.
Honorary, the big umbrella. Honorary is
honorary. Okay, all right. All my life, until maybe about 10 years ago, I thought they were saying Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he left it, all he left us was a loan. LOAN.
Yes, I'm with you.
I was like, wow, he left them a banknote. That's so nice. And then cut to one day, I realized, no, alone. Oh, Amy, you're so silly. Is there a reissues chart?
There's a catalog chart.
Chart. Yes. So is Bob Marley still the biggest? Does he still have his standing as the biggest selling catalog or the most perennial catalog seller?
I don't know. I see the chart, and I'm not sure, is he not showing? I don't know. This is going to sound funny, but I don't always look at those things because I just want to know, can I do the next one?
Right.
Did I sell them? Did that project do well enough for me to do another one? Did
people buy it? That's all. That's really what counts. Did people buy it? So we can move on.
It's good to be aware of numbers, but I don't, because there's a whole department that worries about that.
Right.
I don't want to. I want to be more concerned about, okay, who's cutting the lacquer, right? Is the master tape the original, or is it an EQ copy? And is the EQ copy actually the one to use? Like, those are things I want to be in my head, right? More than, sold 9,700 copies last week.
Well, you want to be more of an artist and a technician than like a bureaucrat, in other words.
Trying.
Well, you're doing a good job. Now, because I know, did you make the decision to shift into vinyl? Was this a decision that, that's where the trend was going in terms of...
It was just happening.
Yeah.
It's simply happening. I think, there were other people in the company. I remember, because I'm now in the LA office, not in the New York office.
I know, that's very sad, because we used to have the best vegetarian meals at what was that place? New World Cafe?
Oh, in the plaza?
Yeah. Yeah, in the Polygram Plaza. Courtney, Courtney and I always date ourselves because we call it the Polygram Plaza, Polygram building.
It is the old site of Madison Square Garden. Remember?
It is.
Yes. And I saw a game there.
Wait a minute, really? Seriously? Madison Square Garden was that far uptown?
Yeah, 49th and Broad and 8th Avenue.
I did not know that. Wow.
Well, I saw a game there. My dad took me to a game when I was little, and I have it somewhere. I saw the Knicks play the Cincinnati Royals. They won. Wow. So I saw Oscar Robertson.
Oh, wow.
And
he says, rubbing his head against his Knicks hat.
By the way, I did see an ABA game where I saw the Virginia Squires, and I believe, in looking at the old retro sheet,
Julius Erving.
I think I saw Julius in his rookie or second year.
Wow.
When I was a kid. So, yeah, I remember, I think, did we go there? And then did you ever go to Suen with me in New York?
Probably. Remember the days, Courtney, where you could go up to record companies and they'd say, let's open the cabinets, number one.
Well, I worked at the record company, so I was opening the cabinets for people.
You were opening the cabinets. It was like
Sorry, your question was, Did I? Oh, so no, I think there are. I remember there were people in the LA office who was very, very passionate about vinyl, and we're missing out on putting out vinyl. And there's a slow turn to realizing that this trend is not going away, and that we need to really jump on the train. So, Record Store Day happens, and there is just an incredible door opening. And I like it. I mean, I like to I'm turning around. I have this entire cabinet that you really can't see. That's just nothing but vinyl. There's no more CDs in there.
And I'm sitting and
Courtney
all
is
around
salivating right now.
No, because literally, if I pull my camera down, you'll see there's vinyl all around me. It's all
he's surrounded.
There's vinyl in every room in this apartment. There's storage and vinyl in it.
Yeah. When I moved, I gave up a lot of my vinyl. My son was in charge of shipping things back, and I'm missing one box that kills me.
I think I sold everything because I just A, needed the money, and B, just got to a point where I was like, who am I kidding? I'm not doing it. I'm not that person.
And I'm mad at myself because I had left some at my mom's house when she moved years ago. It was like 2011. I was like, oh, just give it away. And it was like, and I had some here that I lost in the fire. And I think about the stuff that I was like, why didn't you give? I was in the music industry then. I stopped collecting vinyl. It was all CDs. And I was just like, I don't have room for that. And now I think back, and I've been rebuilding my collection and trying to get all of the things back. But that was, it kills me when I think about it. I'm like, oh.
I remember when I first lived in Manhattan, I had kind of a rent party.
Mm-hmm.
And I had vinyl lined up in the hallway because it was a 2-bedroom I shared with 2 or 3 other people, so we could afford it. And I remember the hallway was lined with my records. Mm-hmm. And in there were all the Parliament with the gatefold and the pop-up and the cartoons, the comic books. Mm-hmm. Those are gone. Right. And I'm not getting those back.
No,
they were really good back when I smoked weed, I will say, which was a very long time ago. I haven't smoked weed since 1978. Mm-hmm. But you could roll a joint, see, in vinyl. You can't do that on a CD cover.
No, it's like I only have 2 of my Nina Hagens, right? All of those Nina Hagens I give away, and she is the hardest to find on vinyl. It has been so difficult. I had a friend who was in Germany, and I had him looking at record stores, and even the guy there was like, "Oh yeah, those records are really the ones I was looking for are really hard to find." It kills me.
Amy, I'm waiting for you to say
what
those 2 were just fine.
What?
Courtney, those 2 are just just I was waiting for you to say that. You don't need more Nina Hagen.
Listen,
right.
Nina Hagen is
what
perfection.
Is the appeal? So pretend why does vinyl, it's not as convenient, certainly, and streaming will take that out of the equation. Why does vinyl persist? Why is it something that we're sort of still drawn to, do you think?
It's tactile. Because in a world where you can't, where basically you have a bucket that holds everything. It's like the old Robert Klein joke. Every record ever recorded, we drive a truck to your house, right? Literally, that's what's happened.
Right.
And there's no context. There's no timeline. A young person today can find Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, and have no idea when it came out. It's new to them. All that has its positive aspects. But to hold a record and have that tactile experience, and to have the motion of taking the record out of the sleeve and carefully placing it on the platter and putting the needle down carefully and all that physical, you're interacting with the music. That is, if the audience takes it out of the jacket, I think there's probably some survey somewhere that will tell you that a lot of people who buy records don't actually open them because they're souvenirs. They look at them,
but they like to touch them, and they love it. That's what I still love to touch albums. When I like to pick them up, I like to read them. I like to pull out and read what's on the inside and see all of the photos. I just love it.
Oh my God, I remember him.
This was something
I totally remember him.
I totally remember. You loved him, Harry. You used to talk about him. No, you used to talk about him all the time.
We're looking at vinyl for Remy Shand, The Way I Feel. Mm-hmm. And I actually reached out to him, and we've been having these conversations. So after we did a digital deluxe of his this album for the 20th anniversary. And this is a bit of an example, but I'm also telling my little humble brag story. So I had this idea to do all the bonus tracks that had come out, including remixes. And I just DM'd him, and we've had this email and sometimes telephone correspondence for someone who's been somewhat kept to himself, although he continues to make music and working on this world of personal electronics for recording, which is great. The one thing he said is, my album's never really been on vinyl. I think there was one promo run that had been in France. So I connected him with the Canadian company where this album originally came out, even though it was on Motown in the US. And they put it out on vinyl.
Wow.
And he's super stoked. I mean, that's how and also it sounds great. I mean, it just sounds, whether it sounds, quote, better on vinyl, the convenience for me, just as a professional, the convenience of digital to be able to process things and listen and move on and go to the next song and edit and do all that is way better for me. But I like having the vinyl. I love playing
Me too. I love just putting on an album and letting it play, and then flipping it over old school style and letting it play. You got to come back in
20 minutes. You got 20 minutes.
You know what I mean? I love that. And I think when I see young people record shopping, because I see them a lot now in the shops, and there's this one young kid in my neighborhood who's like 19, and he's obsessed with vinyl, and he's always discovering artists, and he reminds me of me, like looking at the covers and giving something a chance. Wow, this cover looks really cool. What does this sound like? And I think a lot of that's happening, Amy. I think a lot of young people are, yes, because digitally, there's so much, right? Each week you can get another 1,000 songs handed to you.
You have to be selective with vinyl.
Yeah.
You have to make a commitment to it. It's not just like, I know.
I have that too.
Oh, look. The sticky. Is there a sticky fingers version of it? There was some other white guy that you were, white R&B-ish kind of guy that you used to be really into, Harry. Not Remy Chan, another guy. White R&B-ish guy. He looked kind of nerdy. He was kind of a nerdy looking guy.
Mayor Hawthorne.
Yes.
Isn't it funny how the nerd part is what got it?
It was sort of nerdy white boy. I remember him too.
You know the band Tuxedo? This disco 80s throwback?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's Mayor Hawthorne. That's his alter ego.
Oh my goodness. So what was the most difficult project for you in terms of putting it together to work on?
For vinyl or just in general?
Well, just in general, I guess, and then maybe for vinyl, two separate.
Well, I think difficulty has different paths to projects. The one that I think took the longest was Trouble Man for Marvin Gaye. We just looked at the cover. Because I was really wanting... He's such a great artist to explore. I'm just completely in love with the artistry and the voice and the struggles he had. I'm down for the whole thing. And of course, Divided Soul is a brilliant book, and I've friends with David Ritz, and we're close, and we've worked on projects together. So, in doing a deluxe of Trouble Man and doing a deluxe of Let's Get It On and I Want You, and there's some extra stuff here and there. For Trouble Man, because it's a film score, and Marvin, if you thought he took a left turn with what's going on, he defied again and took another a sharp left turn, because Trouble Man is score. There's maybe one. Wasn't there one vocal? Imagine telling Motown, "Hey, that big record I just did." So I'm going to go to LA and rent an apartment, and I'm going to kind of noodle on the piano for a while with a bunch of film guys.
We were discussing the Andre 3000 record and my complete disinterest in it. Okay, fine, I'm outnumbered.
Well, I don't know. I haven't explored that yet, but it is a bit of an interesting parallel in terms of left turns.
Yeah.
So there are reels that we thought were Trouble Man that were just marked T. And what's confusing is Motown, in their system of sessions, there are P reels, which are production reels. Mm-hmm. They're usually culled from T reels, which are temporary. So we don't always have the T reels. So we thought, well, these are just T reels from... No, there are 11 reels of Marvin fooling around trying to figure out the score.
Oh, wow.
And I had to buy the DVD of the movie and figure out, which is not a great movie. So I had to sit and suffer through it, but listen only to the music and mark down like what I'm hearing.
Oh my God.
There's a spreadsheet for that. Then I managed to convince someone at 20th Century Fox in their vault to send me the music channel. And they said to me, and I said, I work on the Marvin Gaye catalog, and I'm curious to know if you have any reels with the music on it. And they said, well, that sits with the rights owner. And I go, luckily, that's my company. Okay, so I got a DVD R, remember those?
Yeah.
That had dialogue on one channel, sound effects on another, and the music on a third channel, and then a sync tone on the fourth channel. So I could actually then match up, I thought, what's on the... I can't. I'm not a composer. I'm not an arranger. It was a lot.
It sounds tedious, actually.
Over the course, so I worked on a 30th anniversary project that never happened because I couldn't figure it out. And I actually had an intern lock himself away in a room to walk through all these reels. Side note, that intern is, his name still is, but was at the time Chris Thompson, who got a job at Sony. I helped him get a job at another company, and he wrote me about 6 months in and said, I'm really sorry. I don't want this to reflect badly on you.
Uh-oh.
But my college band is doing really well, and I need to go on the road. Okay. Bless you.
Right.
Great. Thank you for all your work. Just if your career is now launched, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I never put it together that the Chris Thompson, who was my intern, is the drummer in Vampire Weekend.
Oh,
So there you go.
His little college group, yeah.
Someone sent me a link to a Conan appearance many years later, and said, isn't this your intern? I went, holy shit.
And on that note...
I'm emailing him going, you never told me. Like, what the fuck?
And on that note, we're going to take a break and be right back.
Yeah.
And we're back.
We're back. Oh my
So
God.
can I request something?
Well,
Can I request?
There's more. Wait, there's more.
There's more. But
Okay.
wait, you also get...
The end result was I had been in touch with a professor at one school. He's now at Carleton College, named Dr. Andy Flory. And Flory was exploring Motown arranging. And he had been very helpful to me in finding things in the vault. He's very academically driven, but in conversation, I'm not in the weeds when I talk to him.
Right.
So I turned everything over to him, and he figured it out. He mapped out the entire score, all the extra stuff, the alternate versions of things, additional vocals where Marvin was experimenting with singing to certain tracks, found an interpolation of Near to the Cross that we call T on the Cross. So, he just figured out all this extraordinary roadmap into what became the Trouble Man Deluxe Edition. So that took 30th to the 40th, 10 plus years of wrestling with a lot of music and what it could sound like and how it could be valuable. So we ended up with the original album, the actual original soundtrack, like matching the original record, including the version of Trouble Man that we know for the hit, the original version in the film, which opens the film. In the album, it's in the middle of the album. The version that opens the film is different. So we had that version, and then everything that matches the film, and then all the additional experimentation we added on. That is probably I'd vote for that as one of the, quote, most difficult.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. Well, hence the title Trouble, Man.
Trouble,
Yeah.
Man.
I think there
Trouble,
should
man.
be some other reissues that from Motown that should happen. You know what I mean? This
And
music,
it's still missing digitally, right? There's a
yeah,
lot of
it's still
remixes.
missing digitally. Still.
You want to talk about what you're holding up? Because I can't.
Oh yeah, it is Vanity's Wild album and her second album, Skin on Skin. I think
Yeah.
these need a new, crisp version and have them online streaming for us fans who, need a little vanity, a little more vanity.
It's on the list. There's a long
More
list,
vanity. A little more
a very long list of things that are missing.
hmm
What's the dream project for you? I know that sounds like Who's Your Favorite Kid, which is why you and I only have one. It makes it so much easier.
There's a couple. There were two things. One, I've always wanted to do Star Time Live. Like,
Oh my
what would be the
goodness.
ultimate James Brown show?
Wow.
From Apollo 62 through, Hot on the One in Tokyo, but take the best performance from each, and make the ultimate show. But that really is that's a playlist nowadays. It would have been a great CD collection or a 4 LP set or something. Do you remember when, I don't know if you ever got any of them because they were very precious, the complete Motown singles? They were a series of these crazy box
Courtney
sets.
looks around his room.
I have set 1 and set 2. Yeah, there was a 2-part box set. Absolutely.
Yeah, we did 14 volumes.
Oh, really? Because I have 1 and 2. And they're right over here. But I don't know why I still have these CD box sets. I refuse to give them up. I can't give them up. I just can't.
I think there's a coffee table book in there. Because the booklets are gone, there's no, and I want to go back and sort of re-edit. And because when we started out, like volume 1 and 2, every entry is really small, short.
Right.
And also I need to do some basic, rules of grammar. I need to reapply to certain volumes, certain essays.
I'm an English teacher now. I can tell you where you put a semicolon if you'd like to
So
know.
I overused them.
Yeah. There's no such thing as overusing a semicolon, Harry.
That's one project, is to kind of rethink that as the bigger bucket. I did the Howard Tate. We found Howard Tate. So, we did the reissue and talking about where is he? And then we reissued it after we found him.
Wow.
I don't know. Oh, the Stevie Wonder Vault project.
I was about to say to you, Steve, what about Stevie? Because Stevie has so many albums. It would be amazing, to have, The Secret Life of Plants have a new update. Because that's really, Andre's album reminds me of his Secret Life of Plants.
Oh, wow. I had that version when I was a kid.
What do you mean with the perfume?
Oh, no. You have one with perfume?
Yeah, the original pressing was scented.
Oh, no. The Secret Life of Plants I don't have. Yeah, the Andre record is being compared to that just because it's the two records that are weird and instrumental by black people that anybody knows.
Team Steve.
But Stevie sings on this one. He had a hit record, Send When You're Low.
Yeah. Yeah, how come there's never been... he's, to me, there's never been any sort of huge retrospective music of his, there are reissues of his albums, but there's never been that massive Stevie, we just found the stuff type thing. Where'd Harry go? There you are. Hi.
Sorry, my record's over there. We did the box set at the close of a century.
Right.
In 99, 2000, which got the NAACP Album of the Year for some reason, at the Image Awards. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the other exploration is TBD. That's all I can say.
He just must have so much stuff, so much God, even his outtakes or his just stuff in the studio. It must be endless.
Well, first of all, let me just start with the one album that I need that I'm missing of my Stevie Wonder oeuvre is that Secret Life of Plants. So Harry pulling that out, I'm still sitting here. suddenly my heart went into like slight palpitations. Like, you need that on vinyl, and I never can find it anywhere in any record store. I never find that album.
No eBay, no eBay excursions.
Well, like me at eBay, I bought some records from there, and that was really weird. And then I'm kind of anti-Discogs now. Like, I used to be huge on Discogs, but that's ridiculous. And I like the idea of discovering the record now, going to a record shop and finding it organically. I really do enjoy that. And so I know all of the things that I've wanted, they end up coming in my life. So I know it's coming. I'm going to find it, and it will be in this collection, because that is one album. To me, Andre's moment to me is like Stevie's Secret Life of Plants moment. It's a very, what the fuck is that? Yes, that album is the way people felt about that album was really polarizing for Stevie Wonder.
No, it is. I know.
And this album is like,
Listen, I think there's a context to that.
Yeah.
There's a real context to that, which is it came after Secret Life of Plants. I mean, sorry, edit that. It came after Songs in the Key of Life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Has the same cadence. Secret Life of Plants.
Songs in the Key of Life. Right.
So we're waiting after fulfilling this all of 2 years, which back then, remember, was so long, right? With all those ads in the trades that said we're almost finished kind of thing. To announce it. And then he drops this, this record that shoots number one. It's incredible, blah, blah, blah. And then his follow-up is, we wait 3 years for a soundtrack to a movie no one has ever seen or knows anything about. I mean, I saw part of it once, but because I saw him do the album live to the movie.
Oh, wow.
At the Metropolitan Opera House. So, I think that context is maybe a little different, although maybe the relativity of waiting 3 years, and then with Andre, you're waiting how many years since the last record?
17 years.
So that's a very long time. So maybe it's equivalent. I don't know.
Because people.
But I want to ask Courtney, for your vinyl needs, do you care whether it's a reissue or you're looking for an original?
It's really funny. It's like, it all depends. I usually like the original. I'm one of those guys. But on certain records, I will take a reissue on, because I'm like, I know this is going to sound great, and then I'll just have both. Like, if I find an original, I'll have an original. But usually when I'm shopping for something and I'm in a record store, I never really look for the new records as much. Like, I mean, if I can be honest with you, like, I worked in music industry for so many years, like, people just I'll hit a friend in one of the labels, and I'll be like, can you send me, like, the SZA album? I want a SZA. I hit my friend at RCA. She sent me the SZA album. And that's great, because there's no old version of that. So so with things like that, yeah. With a lot of my old stuff, I like original pressings. Even when I listen to them and some of those pressings are shit and they don't sound great, I still, for some reason, like that original sounding record. But for Stevie, I'll take Secret Life of Plants anywhere I can get it. Whenever I see that record, it is mine.
Well, you have an advantage. That was a digital recording.
Yeah. Well, I have it
right?
digital. I have. First of all, I have all of his albums digitally. I have the records. Yeah. But I'm a person who really does. Every day I play vinyl. Every day. There's not a day that doesn't go by. So I love to put my record
Let me see
on.
what I can find.
Yeah. Thank you, Harry.
Yeah.
He's been practicing that speech for days.
No, listen.
No, he really is. Honestly, the first time I went to his apartment, it was like Tower Records had exploded in there.
It's like, literally.
And it wasn't like, I kid you, Courtney, but it was not like some like kind of fey arch college student, like, oh, I only have the deep cuts bullshit. I mean, he's got like everything.
Listen, and I have a whole Pia Zadora section, okay?
I was just going to say Pia Zadora.
I have a Pia Zadora
Under Z, or her own special section.
Well, she's her own section. She's in the okay. I have a section in the room that has I call it my folky white people section. So it has like Janice Ian, it has Ricky Lee Jones. And for some reason I put Pia there because, you know,
Wait a minute.
Well,
you have Pia Zadora next to Ricky Lee Jones? Do they, how did they even coexist?
And Phoebe Snow. And,
no. You can't do that to Phoebe Snow. You take that Pia away from Phoebe.
And what's BJ Thomas and all of that. And then Helen Reddy, my Helen Reddy section, who I know you don't like Helen Reddy. I understand.
No, I don't like Helen Reddy because her son owes me money.
Are you going to? Well, that's another story.
Yeah, I have nothing against Helen Reddy.
Every time I say Helen Reddy, her face shows, she's like, her son owes me
$4,000. That's the only reason I don't like Helen Reddy.
Wow.
$4,000.
For what?
Yes.
For what?
Book that he put out a book. He used to work at Deftones. I'm not going to say his name. He put out a book many years ago, and they stiffed half the writers.
Oh man,
so good.
And he was like claiming poor, and I'm like, I'm sorry, your mother has I Am Woman money.
I mean,
she has Delta Dawn money. Anyway.
I want to know. I want to know if you guys have talked about this idea of that people. There are record stores, but I think there's generations behind us that don't understand this idea of Tower Records as a destination.
Oh God!
Where we would go on a Friday night.
Oh my God!
To go hang out at Tower.
Yes.
Or a Thursday afternoon or whatever your schedule is.
When I was a little punk rock kid in San Francisco, so I lived in San Francisco, and the Tower Records on Columbus, because a lot of the records we were into were only import at that point. The Clash record was only an import. X-Ray Specs, I don't think was ever released domestically. Yeah, and we would run down to Tower Records and go to the import section, which was somebody had to scrape up an extra $2 for that. Yeah. And we were just like waited. It was like, I remember buying Purple Rain on vinyl at Sounds. Waiting
on St. Mark's.
Yes.
Well, so I worked at Tower Video, so that was college. And when we would, you have your break at the video store, which we had our own. I want to say in the beginning we were downstairs, and then we moved.
Was it on 4th Street, the 4th Street store?
Literally, we had our own. I want to say we started maybe in the basement.
You were downstairs. Cassettes were downstairs too.
And then we moved across the street. We had our own store on Lafayette, on the corner of Lafayette and 4th. And so on our break, I would come to the record store and go buy records, you know what I mean? And then I would get all my import records, really, like, because I don't know if you ever remember Rebel, which was on Bleecker Street.
Yeah.
And Rebel that's how I kept up with all of my, like, Kylie Minogue 12 inches and stuff, because she wasn't coming out here in the U.S., but David, who ran Rebel for it until it closed, he had all of those sort of records. So I would get the imports on Madonna, the imports on Kylie, the imports on Eurythmics, all of those kind of records. And it was just amazing. And it was a destination. I could be in there for 3 hours going through records, and it would be like nothing to me. I'd just be...
I worked at a used record store in San Francisco, Revolver Records. And it would like you'd always pretend when someone came in to sell their records, you'd act like it was not really worth anything. And you just have this blank look on your face. Like, oh, we used to joke and say, oh, it's an Edison cylinder disc. We would just be very, very blank. And then as soon as they would leave, we'd go, fucking hell, we just got the biggest score of all time. Yeah, no, working in a record store was fun. I mean, it's a fun... that excitement, I understand, I was joking around about, people, is it trend, but there is something fun about it. There is having to be careful, like I said, with the record. And there were certain things that were never, ever, I'm thinking like LAMF was never, Johnny Thunder's LAMF, that was never available. It was only available on vinyl for years and years and years, I thought but I don't do it anymore because it's just too much work. And vinyl's very expensive now.
Well, now it is, yeah. There's no more $5.99 albums for new albums.
Well, I always refer to the inflation calculator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the first record you ever bought?
$5.99 album in 1970 is what, $28 today?
That's true.
Yep.
Do you remember the first record you ever bought? First album or 45?
My own money?
Yeah. Or was somebody, well, yeah, I mean, I guess your own money, like, birthday money or something like that.
I think it may have been in a bunch of records that I got as a gift, but I remember vividly Sly and the Family Stone Stand.
Okay.
And I remember the neighbors borrowing it for a party and hearing the long song whose name I can't say out loud.
Oh yeah, the don't call me, don't call me, don't call me. Yeah.
Really, really loud up the thinking, you borrowed my record to play that?
Courtney, you remember? I used to have a 45 carrier, those little plastic ones that you put all your 45s in and you'd walk around with. The first 45 I ever bought was I Want You Back. And then the first album there, my mother would, be like, she said, all right, we went to Woolworths or Bohacks and said, you can buy 2 records because they were 2 for $5. And I got a Joni Mitchell record and the second Led Zeppelin record.
I do. I remember, and Miracle on Miracles, I still have it. I don't know
No
how
way.
I still have it. The first record I bought was the 45, Walking on Thin Ice. And it was right after.
What are you, 12? How old are you?
Walking on Thin Ice. And
I'm like talking about a record from 68. And he's like,
yeah.
No,
okay,
I'm
but
teasing.
It's like, I was born in 67, Eddie. I wasn't buying records in 68. So unfortunately.
That's true. That would have been an amazing feat if you were.
So my first one, and I still have it. And it's still in that original cover, the gray cover that has the dots on it and it says Walking Up Thin Ice for John.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Sad. What are you listening to these days, Harry?
I was trying to prepare myself for that eventual question.
Oh, well, we were going to ask you something. We can ask you something else.
Because I get asked that a lot because people think, Universal, what is he listening to? Mm-hmm. But personally, I have enough, just in the Count Basie section of my CDs, I have enough right there to last me for the rest of my life. Right? And then just in the day job, like, actually, it's funny, I have to listen to a test pressing. Mm-hmm. And again, you have to listen to the full 41 minutes or whatever it's going to take and time it with a timer and find this if there's a click. And I'm not going to go home and listen to a record when I go home. I've just listened to 4 records today. So or I'm editing or I'm mixing so for me, it's different. I think, I'm not saying it's different than both of you who are professionals, but I don't have that. I don't have that weekend thing where I'm playing my jazz records on vinyl.
Right.
Not really. I do sometimes, but not really. My wife, who is more in tune with the local radio station, turned me on to Mama's Gun, this UK white soul band, who are like the sons of Remy Shand.
Yeah.
And I just am bowled over by them. So
their current group?
They've been around for about 12 years, but the last 2 albums are the ones that they've produced themselves, and that's where they've really...
Okay.
So there's an album called... the last one was called Cure the Jones, which is basically was written during the pandemic. Like, there's a song called Party of One, because they're not visiting people. Friends to Lovers is a great song. This Is the Day, which is on the last album as a demo, but they did a full band version as a single. Not affiliated with Universal, they're independent. To Show My Devotion, it is the one show that I've been to in the last couple of years. Besides, going to something for work, where I went to see like the Quincy Jones show at the Hollywood Bowl, or Sinatra tribute with Billie Eilish at the Hollywood Bowl. Or
how was that, the Sinatra tribute?
Really good. It's really good. And the Quincy thing was good too.
Oh, I bet.
And so, but for me to go to like a club and stand up for a couple hours.
No, we're too old.
It was old news. And we were on fire listening, going crazy over every song from Mama's Gun in their tour that must have netted them minus $20.
I'll have to check that out because I'm still kind of an Anglophile when it comes to certain things. You always think if it comes from another country, it must be better. I don't know.
Well, I'd be curious to hear your, you being a soul queen, what your take on this is.
Professor Soul Queen to you.
Yeah.
That would be preferred. You know, it's so funny you say this, and then like Courtney talking about one of my all-time favorite songs. The album itself is okay, but one of my all-time favorite songs, and you probably both know it, is Kathy McDonald, "Insane Asylum," that Sly Stone produced it and sang on it.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. It's never been, and she's one of these women. It's like capital T, tragic life, Bay Area junkie, blah blah blah. It's the Willie Dixon song "Insane Asylum," and it's her and Sly Stone singing it, and it'll like the back of your neck will stand up. What's the expression? The hair in the back.
The hairs on the back of your neck will stand up.
Who has hair on the back of their neck?
A lot of people have hair on the back of their neck.
No, I just have hair, but no, it's amazing, and I've always wondered. She seems like somebody that somebody would have discovered and done something. You know how people are very into all these tragic dead white women records that are coming now. That's it. You just played it. You have it?
No, I'm on YouTube.
Did you find it?
On YouTube.
Oh, I was like, it's phenomenal. It's one of my favorite ever, and it's Sly Stone. It's one of the few things I can think of that he's on where it's not like a Sly Stone thing. I'm assuming he didn't do a lot of what do you call it? Side gigs. It's a great record. It's a great record, but that song in particular. Court, what are you listening to? Court listens to everything.
I do. Well, this weekend I've been, like I tell you, I've been kind of finding my chi with Andre and his flute. I've also been listening to Emily Sandé's new album. I love her. She's great. And I've been digging into my Fiona Apple stash, and I went back to her first album, and I hadn't listened to that in a couple of years, and it just was a really good moment.
The original Sad Girl.
Yeah.
The original Sad Girl music. I've been listening to a ton of Elton John. I have absolutely no idea why.
And I've never heard you say you're listening to
Elton I've been, so while we're...
no, that's not true, because I put Grace Seal. I've listened to true story. When I used to audition, when I auditioned to go into music, when I was taking voice lessons, I sang on the first Elton John record when he was all sensitive. I've been listening to the first 4. I stop at Yellow Brick Road, maybe because I started watching The Crown again.
Oh, I hate this season. Hate it. Hate.
Well,
do not like this
spoiler
season
alert, she dies.
Yeah. But I didn't enjoy this.
I didn't watch last season, so I'm not.
Well, spoiler alert, she dies. There, I just saved you 4 hours of your life. And the actor that plays Charles, if Charles were that good looking in real life, she never would have left him. That's all I want to say. Harry, we have to take leave of you because while you are sitting in balmy California at 12 o'clock here in freezing cold, disgusting New York right now.
I mean, it looks like it is.
It looks like awful.
It's
Sweden.
horrible.
It looks like Sweden.
It's so bad.
It's raining.
It's just gray and
it's Sweden
horrible.
without the socialism and Swedish people, basically.
And Robin?
What?
Back to the Temptation.
What? Say it again?
I'm doing a call back to the Temptation story.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or are you gonna? Or am I leaving you now?
No, do it.
Okay. Hang on. I was going to text you something, but I'll do this after we stop talking.
Okay.
Kathy McDonald records on Capitol.
Yes.
So pending a little bit of licensing research that would be under the UMG umbrella.
Oh. First of all,
did you need liner notes?
First of all, fun fact,
in the Bay Area.
Everything is under the UMG umbrella. You guys have so much music. I feel like you could be reissuing Fierce records for the next 25 years. There's so much juicy stuff in the Universal catalog. So much.
It's fun.
All right, your Temptation story.
Okay. Feels funny that I have to do the callbacks. I don't, this is not meant to be an ego thing, but I just
Harry. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's late. We're old people. We're ready to record. I'm going to be in bed in 2 hours easily.
So early 90s when I was starting this catalog work, I had volunteered to start working on some Motown stuff. They were under the Polygram umbrella in some fashion at the time. And so I kind of raised my hand and said, happy to help. They had somebody on staff, but I really wanted to work on the Temptation stuff. So I started working on the box set that became Emperors of Soul.
I have it.
And part did I sign it to you? So
No.
part of that work was I got a chance to spend a lot of time with Otis and Melvin and got really friendly with them. And Otis and I are still friends. And I've been to his house. He's been to my house. It's been a wonderful, real relationship. And I won't say any more because if it's a real relationship, you don't talk about how it's a real relationship.
Yes.
Which
is why I never talk about you, Harry. Never.
Just out of sight, out of mind now.
Yeah, I'm just that's why I give you a fake name so I don't have to think about it.
So part of the promotion, they got a star on Hollywood Walk of Fame. And during that ceremony, I got a phone call to say, well, you're going to come with us to the ceremony. And I go, I'm not even close to being part of that work. Like, I'm a record company guy. I did this thing. I have this passion for you guys. I did this thing. I think that's where it ends. And they go, no. Why don't you just ride with us? So I go in the car and they fucking gave me a necklace. Temptations necklace. Phoenix with a Phoenix rising necklace. And Otis and Melvin said, you're one of us now. And that's that. So that's been
you've officially, I mean, that is 100 times better than fucking Dame Dash draping some jewelry over Kanye's neck. That's 100 times. Oh my God, you've been blooded by the Temptations.
Yeah, normally I would have the necklace to show you, but I have to get a new chain for it. So,
is it like diamonds and stuff?
No, it's just a very simple.
Amy's like, are there diamonds? I need women. They're really like, where the diamonds? Where the
Now there is an inner.
I love it. That's
amazing. If you were Paul, David, Eddie, Melvin, Otis,
but that's incredible, and
that's
so lovely too.
You would get a bracelet. I don't have the bracelet.
No, so but that's lovely though. I mean, but that's really sweet. Like those old guys, they're like the best generation because that's very sweet. That's a lovely, lovely thing. That's a wonderful.
Especially realizing that people appreciating someone, they saw the passion that you had and you worked hard for them. You know what I mean? This industry could be really hardcore and there are still good people in it, you know what I mean, who really still believe in the music and the artists. So, that's great, Harry. You're amazing. Listen, I'm fascinated by catalog because I don't think people realize how much catalog is a huge part of every company. When I worked at Columbia for all of those years, it used to be called Sony Legacy, that department. I don't think it's still called Legacy.
Yes,
is it still Legacy?
And
Legacy was, I mean, a huge, when I would see those end of the year reports, was a huge part of the business. All of that music is what people constantly go back to. You know what I mean? It's the familiar. It's like, people will listen to a new album and then they might go listen to 4 old albums. So it's a really important job. And I'm glad that someone like you, who really seems to be a custodian of music and you care about it, is in a position to make sure that these records are still being loved and seen, and this music is crossing generations, because I do think that that's important. Because these kids now are getting so much thrown at them. Yes, they have a full computer in their pocket, but where do you look? You go on any streaming service, right? Where do you look? There's a million places to go. So I think it's important that you're constantly refreshing this work and finding new ways to present it.
He's blushing.
And that and that the kids are responding and people are responding and they're buying the work and they're loving it. Because I think there are a lot of artists who maybe even in their earlier lifetime didn't get that much due. And the fact that you see it continuing on, and when I have conversations with young people now and they're talking to me about some things that I don't even, I know because I do, I speak to the young kids.
But I see you as being like this griot sitting on a table. Young people, gather around me while I give you my words of wisdom. Vinyl is not dead.
Well, there's still some young,
I love it.
There's still young folks, and I know some young kids who are trying to be in the industry or in the industry, and they come to me for advice and they talk to me about music. And I love hearing that their mind is not just what's happening now, but they kind of know. I think you should know where things come from. I think you should know the track that this was sampled from and who this artist is and why it was important. And I think reissues help with that, because people they hear originals and they'll be like, wait, I know that track. That's a Mary track. And it brings them back to the original source. So that's why I think that this work is important work.
Courtney, here's the moral of this story.
Mm-hmm.
You should only associate with vegetarians who are Tauruses.
I knew Amy was going to have something, but I didn't want to say. I want to say thank you, but know that there's an entire team here that is working on stuff with equal passion.
Yeah.
No, appreciate
it. Amazing, you know.
Oh, so good to finally meet you, Courtney.
Good to meet
and
you as well.
Amy, it's so good to see you.
I know.
And we can do a part 2 without microphones. So.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, whenever you come to New York, give me a call and I'll say I'm tired. I can't leave the house. No, I'm just kidding. No, please, if you ever come back to the big city, of course, it took me forever to figure out that you had moved to California. I kept going, where is he? And I'm like, wait a minute, he's in California. What the what?
Everybody in the music industry is in California, except for Columbia. Right. Everybody else is in California.
Well, I have a quick story, but pertains to this Knicks hat that I'm wearing. I went to a game against the Clippers because LeBron was not playing for the Lakers at the weekend that I decided I would fork out the ridiculous amount of money to go on SeatGeek because I wanted to see my team in the flesh and I want a good seat. So I live near a train line. And it's 6 stops from Crypto. Well, we call it Staples.
I still call it Staples. Yeah.
And I get on the train, I'm hiding my, people can't see, but I'm hiding my cap. Right. And I get off the train on the 6th stop and I'm making sure that I'm on the right platform and I'm going to make the correct turn to go over to, and I turn around and there are dozens of people behind me all wearing their Knicks cap.
Yeah. We're everywhere.
No problem.
Yeah. As Courtney and I were saying, I live 5 blocks away from Barclays, and I've always been a Knicks fan. And when the Nets came, and then a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, suddenly started when I would wear Knicks stuff, they'd go, yeah, right on. I'm like, okay, fickle latecomers. Like I've been waiting since 1970. I do the only conversation. Anyway, I could go crazy about Knicks stuff. Courtney, take us out of here, please.
All right, you know what it is, people. It's the
don't
Pantheon Podcast Network. It's us. It's you. You heard us. We love you. And we'll see you next week. Deuces.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.